hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Right, today I have the huge privilege of having Jon Wedger with me. Welcome, Jon.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Charlie. Pleasure.
Well, it's a huge pleasure for me because in this very difficult time, we're very fortunate to have a man who's got enough power out there called Donald Trump, who's taking on the paedophile gangs head on and the trafficking gangs. And I know that you've been fighting this cause for many, many years and come up against brick wall after brick wall after brick wall.
It's not just brick walls. It's the attacks you get. You know, you also get attacked by victims and survivors as well. I mean, you know, there's a lot of hurt people, and unfortunately, sometimes hurt people hurt people. Yeah. Child abuse, Charlie, is at the root cause of every detrimental element in our society. It never gets addressed. It never has been addressed. The social services are ill-equipped to deal with it. No one's properly trained in it. The police deliberately underfund it. And then when you really start getting to the heart of the abuse, that is when you find out how powerful these establishments are, and especially the British establishment. The British establishment are in no way ever to be underestimated. An incredibly organised and well-equipped team they are. And there's a thing that we have. It's called a D notice, and it gets served on media agencies really to silence them. Now, no one really knows. They say, oh, it's a D notice. They just bandied these things about. But a D notice, the D stands for Defence Notice. And, you know, it was a tool used during the First World War by naval intelligence. So it was MI6 on the naval branch of it brought it out with this saying, you know, loose lips sink ships sort of thing. So even now, when you get people like myself and many others, start putting out stories about organised child abuse, also people in privilege, power and politics involved in the abuse of children, they get served with a D notice. They get served with a D notice for the simple reason that it will financially, economically and politically unstable the UK. Now that is disgusting that is going on. Yeah. You know, and it goes up to the monarchy. This is not a conspiracy. No. You know, look, you know, I've been at the centre of a conspiracy. You know, the only people who can't conspire under British law are husband and wife. You know, you get two or more people working in concert for a criminal cause. It's a conspiracy. It's in statute law. You can conspire to commit armed robbery, murder, shoplifting, whatever. So there is a very real conspiracy, not a theory, a fact out there. Now, I spoke out because, you know, I'm a retired Met Police detective. There were 9 attempts to imprison me. There was threats to take off my children, my home and my job if I ever spoke out what I knew. And what I knew was this, Charlie. I was investigating organised child prostitution rackets. Now people say to me, oh, you know, you can't say the term prostitution. I'm not going to be caught up in a seminar in semantics. It's not happening. It is what it is. They were pimping out these kids all from the care system. Yeah. So, you know, the children's homes in which people pay a fortune, you know, in public donations and everything else to maintain, they were failing to protect these children, and these children were being picked up unchallenged, right, by these gangs, by individuals, whatever, and sometimes it was by the authorities themselves, and they were being taken out from the age of 9 to 14, and they were used for sex, and they were traded at the bottom end for 10 rocks of crack, all the way up to £500 an hour. The police knew about it. I found out about it. I put it all together as a big operation. And when I sort of put my findings, committed them to paper, I was threatened by a guy who is now one of the senior, he is a chief constable. He's now one of the most senior and respected police officers in the country. Turned around to me. Bear in mind, all I did was expose and help prosecute people that were pimping out children. He said to me, John, you have no idea how deep this goes. If this ever gets out, he said, you will be thrown to the wolves. You've no idea what you're dealing with, right? And he says this goes right to the top. And he says, you will lose your home, your children, your job. You need to back down. Now, how disgusting is that?
Yeah.
And, you know, and as a result, the main witness, the main key witness, a very, very brave 13-year-old girl, I think maybe 14, but she was found dead in suspicious circumstances. You know, and since then, I walked out the police again and made allegations of corruption, malfeasance in a public office against a group of senior officers. Instead of investigating them claims, all their efforts went on to attacking me. I was isolated. None of my colleagues stood by me. None of them. I am, you know, well, saying that, one did, and then later on another one did. But at the time, the colleagues in that unit, not one stood by me. I'm appalled by them. Appalled by them. You know, I see them as sycophants and not worthy to be public servants. I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. It had happened to other officers.
Yeah.
It happened to a lady called Maggie Oliver, who had exposed grooming gangs in Rochdale.
Yeah.
And they went on to make a documentary about her. There was a brave guy called Lenny Harper who had exposed the atrocities, the sex parties and the murders that took part at Haute de la Garenne Children's Home in Jersey, in which children were shipped in from the mainland to Jersey, and they were basically raped to death, not in just sex parties, but also in satanic rituals in the basement. And he proved that. He again came under the same attack, as did Maggie, and it goes on and on and on. So I decided to use my skills. I was a specialist interviewer, and I went out there and I took testimonies of people who have been wronged in this environment, and it has just exploded. And, you know, it has just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, at one point having 1 million followers, and all I was doing was what we're doing here now. I would do everything live on Facebook, so there was no belt braces or string. A lot of incredibly damaged people. You know, I've interviewed ex-gangsters. And I will say this, Charlie, I will never, ever, ever interview anyone who glamorizes crime. You know, in order for there to be crime, there's a victim. Yeah. So you get a lot of these podcasts as they interview these people, go, oh, I'm doing drug dealing. No, I care not for these people. No. Right. And there was one the other day, a popular podcast, and he was interviewing a bloke, and bloke was boasting about being involved in prostitution. And I just see that as disgusting. Yeah. My podcasts are for education, not entertainment. I'm doing it so the world knows what goes on and at what level this goes on. And if we, as a community, a global community, turn our back on our children, we are setting the whole world up to fail. We are doomed, and we will be paying the price for at least 3 generations afterwards. Yeah.
Well, we're fortunate at this moment in time because Donald Trump is actually leading the march against it.
Yes.
He's the first president in history to take them on.
Of course.
And he deserves all the credit and all the plaudits he gets for taking these evil people on. And I mean, you're absolutely right. They're so deep-rooted. And you were a good policeman, and so you can't put it into sort of this identity politics that all the Met Police are bad. They're not.
No, not at all.
There's some very good ones in there, but there's also some very bad ones in there. It's the same in Parliament. There's some very good politicians, and there's some very bad politicians that are deeply involved. There are some very good royal family members, and there are some very bad royal members.
I mean, the information I get is phenomenal, and you know, with the royals, you know, we can't put anything out there because we're in a world of trouble. Yeah. But there's one specific member of the royals, one of the male members, whose name crops up consistently. Now, Special Branch know who this guy is, and a lot of the public know. It's not the one that's been named involved with the Trump stuff. You know, with the Epstein thing. Yeah. But it's important. Now, we have got 635 politicians. Not one of them is standing up against this. No. Not one. You know, I think we've got something like 80 politicians with criminal convictions. In the UK, if a politician serves 1 day less than a year in prison, he doesn't or she doesn't have to declare it. So they can still be working. So that could be for any offence.
Wow.
You know, and it's just disgusting. You know, and if we look, we had the last 5 prime ministers, they're political advisors. So they have a PA. It's not a personal assistant, it's a political advisor. So
Yeah.
every politician will have a political advisor who will steer them. A bit like a judge will always have the clerk of the court.
Yeah.
A judge doesn't even need to have a degree in law, but a clerk does.
Yeah.
In the magistrate system, and they will steer them in points. The same with politics. The last 5, their PAs have either been investigated or convicted of offences relating to child abuse or child pornography. Right, we had 3 MPs, Margaret Hodge, Patricia Hewitt, and Harriet Harman, that were set up a group called the Campaign for Civil Liberties that went on to become Liberty. This sort of you know, seen as being the bastion for fair play. Their inception, their roots are dirty, and they're paedophile protecting. These 3 politicians were promoting, and they were endorsing a group called PIE, P-I-E, an acronym, Paedophile Information Exchange. Right? PIE were a group of men that wanted the age of consent between a man and a boy lowered to 8 years old.
Wow.
Right? On their sort of CEO list was the head of the Boys Brigade, an army major, someone from a children's charity. You know, they're also aligned with the campaign for children in poverty, against children in poverty. Sorry, another sort of outreach group for single parents. So they had access to all these vulnerable communities. You know, and every one of these MPs, and again, women, you know, MPs. Harriet Harman herself was promoting the age of consent with girls to be 14. Not one of them apologised. One of them went on to be Minister for Safeguarding for Children under Tony Blair's government, and every other one become a right honourable. It is sick to the core, and it goes on. I mean, and this strand of filth goes straight through politics. It goes through the policing and everything else. You know, and do you know what? The British public, you know, and the global community, we need to stand up and say enough. 75 to 80% of the prison population come from abused backgrounds. You know, 90% of heroin addicts come from sexually abused backgrounds. You know, so they all say they've never got the money, but they've got the money to pay barristers and solicitors 450 quid an hour to represent, you know, these cases in the court. But no money to help victims and survivors of child abuse. And most of the people I work with now have done a lot of time in prison. Some of them have been lifers, you know. But I'll tell you what, not one copper has put his name to it and stood by me publicly and officially. There's been a couple in the background. I love them. They know I'm not denigrating them, but not one. And it saddens the life
I can tell you, on behalf of many, many people, we are very proud of you, John, for standing up for it. We really
God bless. But I'm under a huge social media attack at the moment because part of the strand that I deal with is I take testimonies of people who've been abused, but some have been abused under an environment which is known as SRA, Satanic Ritual Abuse. Again, something that the British establishment refuse to acknowledge goes on. They're aware it goes on, they know it goes on. It's even sort of covered by special branch, so they have monitored these groups, but they never prosecute them, and the level of abuse sinks to a depravity, honestly, that would turn your stomach. Now, since I've been doing that, you cannot believe, Charlie, the attacks, the social media attacks I come under. I've been accused of trafficking children. I've been accused of stealing money. I've been accused of fraud. I've been all sorts of things, bullying, being involved in the occult. You cannot believe it, and you know it's just absolutely appalling. And what it does, they put stuff about my children online. I brought up 4 kids on my own, and I speak out against single parenting. I say it's wrong, and I'm all to do with family values and everything else, because when our families break down, it's our children that get hurt.
Of course it is.
People need to understand that, and we've gone into such a hedonistic culture now. We've lost our roots. We really have.
I totally agree with you.
So it's a very, very difficult path to go on, and anyone who wants to do good, you know, I will say to them, be very, very careful, and you must make sure that you're strong. You know, I'll just show you. There's a lake. I've just been swimming in this lake this morning. You've got to keep yourself physically strong, mentally strong, and also spiritually strong.
Yeah.
Because you're up against evil. Now, I'm a good friend of Jesus. I won't pump my beliefs down anyone's throat.
Yeah.
But I come up against evil, Charlie, and I do. And you've got to be ready for the battle, because otherwise it will erode you, and it will find your weakness, and it will just gun for it, you know?
Well, I was born in a religious cult called Plymouth Brethren.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And I had an arranged marriage at 18 years old, and I escaped when I was 23. And my 3 children stayed in it with my ex-wife, but they came out 5 years later because they refused to let me see them. They played all kinds of mind games, and they still do with people who leave it. So I had a good moral compass to start with, and then when I came out, my moral compass went all over the place and got in all kinds of trouble because I didn't know anything. You know, I'd never done a lot of the things that everyone else has done growing up. So what I had to do was establish what the truth was when I was young, against what I'd been told. My parents, I'd found, had lied to me on a number of things. That's very difficult when you find out your parents have lied to you.
Yeah.
And the biggest lie they told me was that the end of the world was coming before the year 2000. So that you didn't need to study at school, you didn't need to do this because the end of the world was coming. The rapture, they called it.
But, the rapture, yeah. You know, it's still being bandied about now, you know.
Look, most people have seen my little 10-year-old boy that I'm very blessed with here, who does the front ends of my videos, etc. And he's very proud of the fact that Daddy's a Christian and Mummy's a Muslim. And he said, if you put the two together, you get perfection.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you call him God or Allah. It's an interpretation. It's the same God.
Well, Charlie, I've reached out to everyone. You know, I met up with a group, did a podcast with them. They said, we're here to help you. They're a group called the SAS, right? The Sikh Awareness Society. Okay. And these are a bunch of Sikh brothers. Everyone in the Sikh community has to pay £10 a month to these boys. And they go out there and they flipping kick ass. If they find that there is a Sikh kid being sexually exploited, they go in, they call the police and they say, look, deal with it. If the police don't, they go in and kick doors in and retrieve the kid. But they said, we will open our doors and our services to Muslims. We say Muslims, Christians, you know, and they're brilliant. One of the guys who helps me, he's the chief psychiatrist for the NHS. He deals with profiling. And he deals with any murder abroad that someone's claiming to be mentally ill, and he'll go and assess them. And he's a staunch Muslim coming from exactly the same place. And I'll put this question to him, because the Muslims are getting a right kicking in the UK at the moment over the grooming gangs. I said, you know, it's denigrating your whole religion. And he went, John, I don't know one Muslim that would want to abuse their child. No. Not one. No. But this is a narrative that's sorry about that. That's right. Charlie, I just someone's called. I just had to ditch him out of it. So you know, and I even call out to the Satanists. Yeah. And I say to them, stop doing it. And if you want to talk, come and see me. Come and talk to me. You know, but you can't go doing this anymore. It's wrong. It's hurting children. Look, Charlie, I don't want to go to my grave. And no one's getting off this planet alive. Whatever your belief system is, you're not getting off alive, and you're going to be accountable, whether you're an agnostic or an atheist. You know, there is a higher power. Definitely. Charlie. Got you back now. Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. My phone overheated. Okay. It said warning, temperature too high. So I've sort of moved away. I've walked into, there's a wooded area. So I'm going to keep walking for a little bit and let it cool down. But yeah, sorry about that breaking continuity. But I'm on the same strand as you, you know. You know, we need to protect our children. There is nothing worth fighting for other than your children. You know, everything else is a second. It's very interesting for me that Tommy Robinson has had to go after the Pakistan grooming gangs, because if he'd gone after the white ones, he'd have had to empty Parliament. Yeah, I mean, I did do a thing for Tommy Robinson, because his lot have sort of called out to me on many occasions. and I don't believe in his political stance. However, his daughter got sexually assaulted
That's right.
in a Centre Park swimming pool, and I did a video outlining the points of law in which he'd been failed, and said, and you know, I sided with him on this thing, and I said, you know, you have deliberately been denied justice. You know, what the police have done is appalling, and them men should have been arrested, you know, and that's that. And, you know, as soon as I did that, I got shut down. So he's a heavily monitored individual,
He
but
is.
I can't, and I'm with you, and I say this thing, right, we're looking at grooming gangs. If we're going to look, say it was like a pie chart, let's look at the whole picture. Let's look at grooming gangs, right? If we look at sexual exploitation, 80% of abuse, sexual abuse and exploitation goes on within the home environment,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of mothers involved in pimping their kids out. So what do we do? Attack all mothers?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
And then we look at the religious system, look at the Anglican Church and the Catholic Church, and how much abuse has gone on in the care homes throughout the 60s and the 70s, you know, in the UK. So he's, you know, there's a saying in the Bible, you know, they see the speck of sawdust in your eye, yet ignore the log in their own. And they focus on the minutiae and expand it and expand it and expand it. And it's causing division and hatred, and I'm not into that. I'm not into that at all. Therefore, I can't get caught up. Some of the things that he says, if he's exposing deliberate local government collusion with these gangs, which there is, it is going on. Then good on you, but do everything in a balanced and fair way. And sometimes I don't think he does that. The only group I'm out to target are the paedophiles and the Satanists. And they're pretty much intertwined.
Yeah, they are. They are, and you're doing an amazing job. And I've learned so much from you, and it's opened my eyes. And one thing that just makes me smile, to put it into perspective, is the obsession in England with the mask and in Spain, and yet they're overlooking the work that's being done for the saving of thousands of children, thousands of trafficked adults, and they're overlooking that because the media are focused on the mask.
Yeah, of course. And if we look just pre-coronavirus, we had a march protest demonstration planned. It was all authorised by the Metropolitan Police. That was to go ahead I think May the 16th. We had brought together Muslim gangs. We had brought together the Sikhs, biker gangs, loads of biker gangs. Even the Masons wanted to supply a biker gang. We had survivor groups, people who had lost children through suicide, and all these sort of campaign groups. It was going to be probably one of the biggest protests, right? The Met Police shut it down, told me it's not going ahead because of coronavirus, right? I've been out every single day. I refuse to wear a mask. I will not do it. You know, we had QAnon contact me on 2 occasions. I've spoken to them, and they said, we've got your back, John, on this. They sent me emails, and I've talked to them. They were based in America, this New Jersey, this guy that was ringing me up, you know. And we were moving forward, and we had Epstein. Look what was coming out with Epstein, you know. Oh, God. Sorry about that. It was coming out with Epstein, even with Prince Andrew. It was official, right? And all these royalists can stick it up their hooter because it was official. It was coming out. And then that would lead on and on and on. We were on the precipice. We were on the edge of really exposing what was going on. And then Corona came, bang. And it took everyone's focus away. And silence come in. The police won't even turn up for a rape allegation, yet they were turning up if 3 people were talking together. You know, even the coppers, I was going to demonstrations, anti-lockdown ones, they were 50-handed, not one mask on any of them, right, rushing in to arrest people that were standing together. It was absolutely, it was absolutely flipping appalling, you know. And sorry about that, Charlie. I've just got me headphones set here, and I'll put that in. You know, I mean, the corona narrative has got more holes in it than a colander.
Yeah,
You know, and
exactly.
it's and you're right. And when we look at what is happening, if America, if it's true what we're hearing, because it's, you know, it's not been properly validated, then, you know, Trump he is coming up trumps. You know, he really is,
Well,
and that would explain probably the hatred towards him.
my information doesn't come from Q. It did at the start, but I have a couple of diplomats, US diplomats, and a couple of ambassadors for different countries that I'm very close to, that I work with. And
Yeah.
they put me straight on everything. And I tell you what, they are so confident right now, so happy right now. I did an interview last night, which opened up an awful lot of things that I didn't know about. And it made it very clear, because he talked about taking the head off the beast, and I had no idea what that meant. And the head of the beast was actually in Venice, the Venetians, who are the head of the beast. It's a number of big families that control the world. That was taken down first. And I was told probably 10, 12 weeks ago, Charlie, we're past the critical phase now. We're now just tied up. And that was 12 weeks ago. And now when I learned that last night, that explains everything, because I know certain things that I can't say about who's been arrested and who hasn't been arrested. I know people that are cooperating and those who are not cooperating. So we just have to wait for that to come out. It's going to be an organic process. I think probably beginning of next year, most of that information will come out. But even so, it'll still only represent about 20% of what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Well, I say to people, you know, we're looking to America, but let's look on the UK.
Correct.
Right? You know, let's look at what's going on. I mean, when we look, we had a Home Secretary called Leon Britton. Now, Leon Britton, I was hearing his name about being a paedophile for many years.
Yeah.
He would cruise around Victoria Station trying to pick up young boys. His name has appeared in relation to satanic abuse, him and Cyril Smith. So many people have mentioned him. So many, right? What did they do about it? Now, I spoke out and they crushed me. Leon Britton was raping boys and girls, and they promoted him for one of the highest positions in British politics, Home Secretary.
Yeah.
He was the fastest ever and youngest promoted Home Secretary by Winston Churchill. You know, I mean, I know that you have to do vetting, because I've been vetted to what they call a DV standard.
Yeah.
And they want to know all your sexual partners.
Yeah.
You're involved in things like swinging or, you know, dating sites and all that. They need to know all of that. Yeah. He was procuring boys under the supervision of Special Branch, and nothing was said.
Yeah.
We had Lord Granville Jenner. You know, he was considered a good Jew. Again, I'm not even going there with that thing.
Sure.
Right? So he had that backing, you know, but because he did work in exposing Nazis, he was like a Nazi hunter. He was going into Young Offenders Institute called Glen Parva and abusing boys there.
Yeah.
You know, we've got these MPs are linked in to organised criminals. That's why I can't go there with organised criminals. I can't.
No.
I just can't go there.
No, I totally get it.
Because I hear so much about them. You know, the Cray twins, their involvement, and they glamorise these people. Why glamorise them? They were into young boys. Yeah. They should never be glamorised.
Yeah.
You know, but I give talks and I do rub shoulders with ex-organised criminals. But I make my stance clear on this, you know. I'm here to protect children. I'm not here to placate an adult.
Sure.
And we see it all the time. Not one politician in the UK has been arrested for all the allegations that were made against them. Not one. And they were so at it, you know. And again, Special Branch, they knew about it, yet they chose to do nothing. And this isn't why we pay our taxes. You know, and these people are raping children. I say, Charlie, you know, to people, let's play a child porn video one day. Let's play it. And I know it sounds appalling, But let's see the reality of what these young children have to go through. Let's see the physical injuries that they endure, the fear in their eyes. And that's not even going near the satanic stuff.
No.
And then the snuff movies. And I'll tell you what, there won't be one decent individual, left wing, right wing, or indifferent, that wouldn't want hanging brought back the next day. You know,
I've been sent videos, and they've made me. I've had to turn them off, John. They were so disgusting.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about, you know, women that can't have children because their wombs have been misaligned because they were raped at a young age, right? Men that have got damaged coccyx. You know, the spine has been damaged through the sodomizing. You know, men and women who can't keep down jobs because they defecate themselves because their sphincter muscle has been destroyed. You know, and that's not even going near the mental trauma that they've endured. And those that are doing it, people like Leon Britton, you know, they're given handouts, payouts because someone's denigrated their name and upset their family. We are living in a twisted, upside down society, and this has to stop. People need to get a grip.
I can give you some good news, John, but I can't tell you much more than that. That their days are coming to an end, and it won't be far away.
Amen, brother. Away, John. Amen to that. Amen to that. You know, like I said to you, none of us are getting off alive, and I want to go to my deathbed before, you know, my Lord and my Master. You know, for me, it's Jesus, and I want to go there, and I knowing that I did everything I could to save children and to expose. And the thing is to wake up. And I will say to people, you need to get a grip. Get your heads out your asses. Your car ain't going to save you. Your flat screen telly ain't going to save you. Your Strictly Come whatever ain't going to save you. They are destroying our society under your noses, and your minds are just on juvenile puerile nonsense. You know, now is the time to band together, because for sure, Charlie, these evil ones, these Satanists, these paedophiles, they band together.
Yeah, they do.
You know, they conspire, you know, and they look after each other as well. Yeah.
We need to start sticking together. But John, it's been an absolute privilege.
Lost you. I'm with you. I'm with you. It's just people keep ringing me up. But I'm always here if you need me.
It's an absolute privilege and an honour, John. It really is. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for standing so strong.
I want to say something to you, Charlie. I got you, your guys at Lee who got in touch with me. Right, Lee got in touch with me last week. I don't know what day it was, Thursday maybe. With a proposal. About 2 hours later, I get a call from an ex-colleague of mine who's in a pub with a guy called Lance, and Lance is a social worker. And he's saying, "Oh, my brother works for a podcasting team. I wonder if they'll do your mate's podcast." And Lance is Lee's brother.
Wow.
I'm like, well, actually, I've just had an email. I think it's the same bloke, and it was. So that's synchronicity for you.
Hey, Brooke brings us together. God brings us together.
Oh, always. Amen to that. You know, and no matter who we are or what we are, and it's not for us to judge either. It's not for us to judge. He can do that. That's not our job. Our job is to get out of there. We live, you know, we're not in a heavenly realm. We're on an earthly plane. We need to use our spirituality in our hands, and we need to get our hands dirty. We need to go into the sewer, and we need to shed the light on these rats and make them run. Yeah. You know.
100%.
All right, then. Well, I'm always here, Charlie. You know, I wish I was over there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you are, we'll go and have a drink together.
Yeah, blow the froth off a couple. Love it.
Exactly.
All right, God bless, my friend.
Absolutely.
No worries. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye, mate.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.